Hello, my friends, and welcome once again. And it's been a long time for this, but it's the Tenkai Talk. This one is about, well, something that seems to be a misnomer, especially in this day and age, and that's role models. You see, in this day and age, when we have role models, there has to be a balance within role models. I can count myself as a role model because at one point I was a mentor. And being a mentor to a young person, it's very important because once you become a part of that person's life, their actions are basically caused by the impact you gave them, be it something positive or negative. In the sense that, in the wake of so many things happening during this year, well, most likely a lot of negative has shown up and in some way has been positive, and yet for some reason the negative part it seems to be a positive, which I don't get. But as a reciprocal, you have to flip it over. I think the big ones that have been as of note and are still in the news in some way, fashion or form is well, as far as California goes, there's Nipsey Hussle. Now, truth be told, we didn't know anything about this dude, and there's a reason why because basically, um, he's been out of the he's been out of the gang for years. Everything he's done, it's always been underground, without little to no sense of saying, "Oh, I'm this person." You never heard of this guy before, and yet out of the blue, "Oh yeah, we know this guy." Okay, for some reason, I find it hard to believe because if you're talking about a person who has never been heard of before in their life, and they're something like a hometown hero, and most of what they did in their life, mm, if it wasn't good, they atoned for it. That I can believe. So you can full out make a negative into a positive, or a positive into a negative, into some sense, because, like I said, the way the world is these days, it makes no damn sense. First off, this guy got blown away by some guy in the past who can't let go. That's how sad it was. And yet, most of California or most of the known world has heard of this guy like he was Whitney Houston. And everybody knew what happened to Whitney Houston when she passed on. It's the same thing. In the end, she pulled off a negative, and yet it turned out into a positive because more of what she did was more good than anything. And if she screwed up in life when the lights were off, well, she just screwed up. I mean, she was in a failed relationship, and her family was all points fucked up. All because she was the stereotypical good girl after a bad boy. But she didn't know how bad it became until basically she fell into that trap that most people who fall into the lure of fame always fall into: the sex and the drugs and the influence that it came with. And it's the same thing on YouTube. Now we got a guy that I've never even heard of, yet he's sort of known, yet he's not so known. And yet that's what YouTube is. It's for people who are known and not so known. I'm one of those people that are somewhat known but not so known. And you know me. Most of you guys know me. Most of you guys know what I do. I do let's plays, reviews, and things in between, like doing talks like these, to where it makes sense to you guys to listen to what I'm saying. And if you can try to decode what I'm trying to say, well, good for you. You're more gifted than other people. And I mean, YouTube is the cornerstone of many an internet sensation. Most have blown up after being an overnight success. Others, not so much. I mean, you know about Justin Bieber, and then there was and plenty others who basically just blew up just because they once started doing music videos and whatnot. So we got, names like Justin Bieber, James Rolfe, and that's only a few of the names that have been known to grace the stage of YouTube, become somewhat of a success past that, and just roll with it, be it good or bad. And I think most people forget that there, to every good there is a bad, and to that bad there comes tragedy. Tragedy which should have been handled differently than what it should have been. Namely, for what it is worth, it wasn't worth it. Like, I can say, for instance, the two most notable names that really stand out would be Jew Wario and Etika, and they both died the same way. To where the fame itself will be so much of a burden that it will drive you mad if you don't know how to handle it. Or perhaps reality plays a double-edged sword to say your success, and there be a failure so big that even you cannot handle it. Now, I never in my life have been such a perfect person. I've been very honest and blunt as far as me growing into a personality of my own. And for the last couple of years, and most of you who know me, since my mother has passed, like I said, I've grown from this. But there are things that still needing to be closed. And just for the sake of, sorry, it needs to be closed. It needs to be taken care of and whatnot. It needs to be taken care of by doing the proper channels. Now, the thing that I find funny is that you mentioned when you mention something more like, say, uh, hmm, oh, I don't know, the words mental illness, mental health. Mental health is something that most people just don't realize that it is somewhat of a big, big, big piece of work. And to use it in a sense that in the internet, in the world of fame, not in the world of the internet, in the world of fame itself, people just can't handle it. Sad but true, but people just can't handle it. Mainly because of what it means. For what it means, mental health is the very, very small part in which most people do not focus on because of that mental health. But in the wake of recent moments in time, it has become a greater, it has become part of a greater impact because nobody actually ever thinks of mental health. And for it being the case, like say Robin Williams, I'll just say that Robin Williams is probably one of the biggest names that go with mental health because believe it or not, if you have somewhat of a grasp of understanding that that part of you needs to be just as well as the physical part of you. You have to take care of yourself mentally as well as physically. Most people do not do that. Sometimes when with my friends online, they somewhat are depressed about their life choices sometimes or what they have to deal with, especially if they have to deal when they have to deal with their occupations. Me, the only thing I'm working around with is trying to get um, a level of being employed and economically gained. I like to gain something in this economy, seriously. And the only thing I'm really doing is I have a product that needs to be sold, but my network needs to be a lot bigger. It needs to go in a much more wider radius than it is. And sometimes it does get very difficult, especially now with everything that's coming to a head. It gets very difficult. And mental health plays a role in that because, hey, sometimes you'd feel depressed, sometimes you feel angry, sometimes you need a filter, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need people to talk to. Other times you need a way to dare I say outlet. You need some way to vent other than the way you've been using. For me, whenever I vent or I feel very much heavy in my heart, as well as in my mind, excuse me. It's it's 5:30 in the morning, so while I'm doing this, I'm yawning because I'm about to hit hay once I'm done with this. My point is this: you don't need a negative role model to prove a point that really you feel that no one cares about you. Don't let YouTube be the only thing that is like the number one thing that you can turn to. You have people out there, real people, that actually care about you, not just the people on YouTube. I mean, I'll say this. For me, YouTube has been a wonderful outlet for the last couple of years since I started doing Let's Plays. Pretty much every Let's Play I've ever done, it basically has changed me for the better because I never used to talk so much. I basically was one of those introverts that just really had a lot going on in his head, but never really shared it because, well, I thought I was boring people if I talked. Sometimes I feel that way, but other times it's it's different. I mean, truth be told, I'm not negative. It's just the way I think about myself is not about the same as other people think about me. And there are a few people that look at me like I'm a role model, in which I can only say thank you for seeing me that way because I want to be some force of good just to help people get their heads on straight. So in this case, guys, you need to get your heads on straight. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but Nipsey Hussle in Danganronpa will be the ultimate nigga. Yeah, I said it. And it's like this, and I'll repeat this again. Suicide does not help anything. You need reality. Most people cannot handle reality. Most people cannot gain a grip of reality, so they have to stay in, say, the internet for so long that they forget that, oh, you're a real person. I've been playing Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth for quite some time, and even though it's a game that I do enjoy, there are a lot of things that somewhat parallel what is going on in the real world. Like if you're stuck in the internet and that's the only world you ever known and you never known anything outside the internet, you got a problem. You need to go outside. You need to shut the internet down for a couple of hours. For me, that's what I do. I shut down the internet for, say, a couple of hours. I usually come online around evening, I'll say afternoon, evening. We say 4, and I stay on till, like, say, 3 a.m., 4 p.m. to about 4 p.m. 4 p.m. to about 4 a.m. almost. And what I be doing on here? Well, watching a few videos on my feed, look at my phone to follow what I'm posting on my channel. Yeah, that's what I'm using my cell phone for. I'm using it to basically see where I am with my projects. And at the same time, while I got a backlog of PS4 games and building and rebuilding my backlog of games on here, it goes without saying that, well, it is not easy trying to be who I am. One moment. Excuse me. As I was saying, it's not easy being me. As it is not easy being. It's not easy being, say, the phone people I hang out with. It's not easy being Ryu from Breath of Fire. It's not easy being 40 Warrior. It's not easy being Big Fatty Plus. It's not easy being Rocky Armus. It's not easy being Sheena Marie Bach. It's not easy being Deluxe. It's not easy being Magma WK. It's not easy being anybody else who is on YouTube and they're trying to make something of their real life. It really isn't. Me, in my personal life, I had to deal with a whole lot of drama. Unneeded drama that just don't have to be a part of it. That I really, personally, I don't need to be a part of it. But yet here I am, I'm being the observer. And I can only shake my head. Most times, I want to help, but they don't want my help. I don't have to help. I've done my part. I blew up twice this month. Mind you, it is not easy to actually keep it bottled up inside and talking to two stubborn old men and getting your point across that you're tired, you're sick, and basically you had enough. I had to blow up twice. Now for me to blow up twice, and then after that, I broke down in tears because I had enough. I was at my limit. To see me blow up twice, it's like using a map weapon. I think I mentioned this before, but it's like using a map weapon in Super Robot Tyson. Once you have a map weapon and you blow up anything that is within the radius of said blast, it's gonna hurt them a whole lot more than it's gonna hurt you. I think I point out that this is my ideal avatar because technically there's so much shit I gotta deal with. And day after day, that's what it looks like. To where I have to deal with such shit that technically I've had it. I pretty much had it. And guess what I had to do with it? It's hard to do something so good, yet it's so easy to do something so bad. And most times, the hardest thing you can actually do for yourself is constantly keep yourself built up. Because most people who try to keep themselves built up, it's not easy to keep yourself built up and stay that way. And then you got people like the names I mentioned earlier. They can't handle something like fame. They can't handle the they can't handle what is basically just that. It's fame. It's everything that goes with it. It's like having responsibility, and you're being accounted to do this and this and this and this and this. It's like streaming for say 2 hours. Oh, I gotta stream for 2 hours because that's expected of me. No, it isn't. I don't stream at all. I rarely stream, and when I stream something, I hardly have an audience. Maybe one or two people might show up, maybe more, unless if I get the word out. Oh, hey, I'm streaming. I'm streaming this one game. I might be streaming all evening long. I don't know. But I'm streaming something. I'm showing that, oh, hey, I'm part of this community. And yet, at the same time, I don't really stream so often. And I look at it as like, well, if nothing happens, guess what? I'll stream just for the hell of it. Just because I feel like it. Not because, oh, I have a schedule to keep. Just because, oh, I usually stream on this day for X amount of hours because I have to make sure. You have to make sure what? What do you have to make sure of? You're playing a game. You're playing a game for about 2, 3 hours. You're trying to make progress, and I'm pretty sure everybody does it. But you're trying to make progress on one game, maybe 2 games, maybe 3 games. For me, long time members of this channel know that I usually do about 6 to 7 projects at a time. Usually start with 2 and 3, and once I get done with one, I get started on another. And usually, whether I'm doing it on here or I'm doing it on my PS4, I spend at least 4 or 5 hours making 6, 7, 8 or so parts. And usually, it's on one game. Whether I'm working on a Tales game, Digimon, Shadow Warrior, whatever, I'm working on one project with many, many, many parts. And usually I like to lose myself in what I do. And just say, well, how far I am? Oh, I'm at 50%. Okay, I'm going to take a break right here. From 0 to 25 one day. Maybe 25 to 55 another day. Maybe I might go to 0 to 10%. You know, depending. But the most important thing is, just like the name implies, the Tenkaichi. The only thing I have to do is live up to that name for myself. Not for people, not for other people, just for myself. To do the best I can do. To give the best I can give. It is a spectrum that most people don't see. Because when you feel you're giving your worst, you are secretly giving your best. So to say that nobody watches my channel, people watch your channel. You're on the internet, for God's sake. People will pick up on who you are through other people. It is called network. It's about the same thing within my condition right now, my working establishment. I'm working on getting a bigger, stronger, better network than I did previously before when I was doing work as an author. I'm still an author, by the way, but I just haven't been working on anything new since because of all this mess. I put some of what I've been doing down, and most times I would have to find what I'm working on. And trust me, I got a whole backlog of stuff that thankfully I printed out before I basically lost almost everything. The only thing I'm gonna have to do now is find the time to sit down and type it up again and then print it out and make sure I save it. Aside from that though, the point is, whatever you do, don't do it for the sake of the audience. Like I said, you're on the internet. You have an audience whether you see it or not. And myself included, if I ever stream, only thing I could do is just say, "Hey, I'm streaming. Come by." Boom. There you you go. I basically just did simple, easy advertisement. Basically, just to let people know, oh hey, I'm streaming. Come on by if you want to watch. That's the only thing you can do. You can do it. You can basically do it on YouTube, or you can basically do it on Twitter, Facebook, Discord, whatever social media network goes for you. That's what you do. You let yourself be known. It's about the same thing in real life. You made something. Oh hey, make a flyer. Take one down, pass around. You let people know who you are. It's the same thing in the world of voice acting. I'm not so known yet, but yet I'm going to a place in which I can make myself be known. Just to say, oh yeah, I've been on YouTube for about 10 years. I've been doing I've been doing voice work for 10 years, a whole decade, and this is my first year in doing blah 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 blah. Basically, for me, doing voice over work on a different level is totally different than me doing it on what I've been doing it for years. Mainly, I can say the word unprofessionally. I mean, I've been doing it for my own leisure, so therefore, um, I've been doing it unprofessionally. Now I'm on a higher step, which could lead me to professional. And yet, at the same time, I often worry if what I do will change me. Hopefully, for the better, that is worth it. But the thing is, to be quite honest, as far as mental health is concerned, I can say this because I've been going to a mental health clinic many for for like say up till now. I'm still going, but for different reasons. If you know you need help, get that help. Don't feel like nobody can. This is a real big misnomer right there. Nobody can understand me. Do you understand your own self? Don't say you don't under. Nobody can understand me unless you understand your own self. Don't even say that bullshit right there, because that's all it is. It's bullshit. I get along with people sometimes just by just being as open, honest, and blunt as humanly possible. They thank me for it just because you know you don't have to be nice. You don't have to be this Mr. Nice Guy. No, you have to let it be known. You ain't no pushover. It's okay to work hard, but as long as you get your credit's worth. If you're worth the time and the energy, then let that be known. It's about the same thing. Don't ever call yourself an idiot. You say it once, we know you're an idiot. You say it twice, no, you're not an idiot, you're a moron. You say it 3 times, no, you're stupid. You say it 4 times, we'll just call you Beetlejuice. Like I said, I have reason to blow this up because being a role model is a big misnomer sometimes. Because, as I mentioned, with the names I dropped, basically, don't be don't be a role model just because you did this for the community. Anybody can do anything for the community, but most people don't get that kind of recognition they deserve, the right kind of recognition. No, it's always the negative. It's never the it's hardly the positive. when that time comes to where I plan on making it big, I'm not going to make it just for the community. No, it is going to be for me and my family. Because first and foremost, that needs to be number one. That needs to be top priority. You're making things better for yourself, and you're making things better for your family. Because personally, if you say you're doing it for the community, there are people out there who just don't give a damn about you. Let's be honest. Whether it's online or offline, being in person, reality, people are just not gonna give a damn about you. They're gonna find some way of knocking you down and letting it be known that he's about the same as anybody else. So guess what? And all it needs is just that one fuck up. That's all that's needed to make your good name just go down just like that. You only need one fuck up, and that's easy to do because you can say something wrong and quote unquote trigger somebody, and you can trigger the wrong type of people that you don't want. The type of people that just puts you right in that batch. And it's very easy to be put in that batch just because, oh hey, you spoke your mind. It takes guts to speak your mind. And not everybody can speak their mind. And for what it's worth, I'm glad I'm speaking for what I'm saying. Because first and foremost, like I said, take a good long look at my avatar. Thank you, phone. Take a good long look at my avatar. Like I said, it's pretty much me. Every day, I gotta put up with so much shit. And growing up, I had to put up with a lot of shit. A lot of shit that was not needed. I took a lot of hits for it that I didn't need to take, but I took them anyway. I never fought back because what's the point of fighting back when I really didn't need to? If I had to fight for something, it's for justification to protect myself and to protect what's precious to me. If that's what I needed to do, that's what I had to do. I have a sword around, but that only means I'm protecting myself. I don't need to draw it when I don't really have to. It's about the same thing with anything else. You don't have to make a point about, well, this person said this and then, and like, you don't really need to make a point with me. If you're trying to make a point, just make your point and let's move on. Be done with it. When I look at my character, yeah, he just has that look. He's like, I'm done with this shit. That's me after every day that I gotta deal with. I'm done with this shit. I start walking away after lopping so many heads off. So much shit. So much drama. That's me in a nutshell. Being a personality, and for what it's worth, I want to give the right kind of people an understanding of what it means to be the person you basically say you are. This persona that you give yourself. It's very easy for people to get the wrong idea of who you are, but it's also good to give them an understanding of who you are and what you're about. My understanding and what I'm about on here, technically, I play games under the radar. Whether they're new, whether they're old, or something in between. Whether they're heard of or they're not heard of, that goes without saying that I do my research and then, therefore, go check it out. So, for what it's worth, it does say a lot. Now, I think after all this, hopefully, what's key to be understood is you don't, you really just have to figure out what kind of personality you want to be. Do you want to be this guy that this person, I shouldn't say guy, this person that everybody wants to see you for? You want to be liked, you want to be loved, you want to be respected and everything, and yet you're doing such a masterful job of fucking yourself up just by saying, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah 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 blah. You bring yourself down after you've done so many great things. Then you say, oh, I'm a failure. All I can say is this, and I'm going to let this go after that. Get help. Quit calling yourself a failure. Quit calling yourself an idiot. Quit looking at people who give you these ideas that being negative is such a positive. Because, like I said, being negative is easy. Being positive is hard. Just play Fable. I mean, play Fable, for God's sake. That'll tell you right there. It's like, it's very easy for anybody to be good, but to stay that way, it's not just 100% you 100% be good. No, you have to basically be bad in order to even everything out. You have to understand the spectrum. You also have to have respect for said spectrum. To know that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay that you don't know everything. You don't know what you're doing. That's okay. Just don't beat yourself up and let people see that you're beating yourself up just for the sake of, say, entertainment. You know you need help? Go get that help. Don't make no excuse about what it is that's holding you back to becoming a better person. Just get that help you need a day at a time. Excuse me. So, I think I'm just going to put the Yamato back on hold. Keep it on standby until the next time. Maybe I might pull out the Nadeshiko or the Macross and just stand there and just say, what? Remember, this avatar basically says something. I deal with a lot of shit on a daily basis. And the only thing I can do is just say, okay, you don't see the blood and the carnage. You only see the aftermath of what happened. And it's like me sitting on it. It's like me being the captain of the Nadeshiko, the Yamato, the Macross. Basically, after a long day, after the big gun has been fired, the only thing you can do is just like sit there right after the gun is fired and just take a long, deep sigh and just say, I'm done. Which is what I'm about to do. So hopefully, this message in short will open your eyes to what you need to do. You want to be a role model. Be a role model for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. Do it because you enjoy helping people out. Don't do it just for the sake of saying, oh, this person was this and this person was. No, no, don't do it for that reason. Do it for reasons that are honest, simple. Because everybody needs a friend. And the best way to become a role model is that's how you start. You show yourself as a friend. And everything else will come into play. So everybody, you be you, stay wonderful, stay positive. Keep yourself on that route as best as you can. You're not alone if you feel like you think you're alone. You may deal with a lot of shit in life, but in any case, you get through it. And you got through it. At the end of the day, you got through the shit. You don't have to deal with it every day. You can deal with it every other day. You always have a choice. So with that, my friends, this has been the Tenkai Talk, and I have been your friendly neighborhood Tenkaichi, and I shall see you next time with more great videos and more great content within those videos. See you next time.